Hello and thank you for joining the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, Army Chief says soldier who insulted Governor Sanwo-Olu for arresting colleague over traffic offense in Lagos State has been arrested. And later on the show, EFCC detains former Minister Shadia Umar Farouk over 37.1 billion naira fraud allegations as suspended Humanitarian Affairs Minister Betta Edu appears before EFCC. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Tunde Abaton. So we're ready. Let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. Let's begin with the issue of policy reversal in Nigeria. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has suspended new applications for development financing like the Anchor Borrowers Program and Nigeria Incentive-Based Risk Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, among others. According to the Apex Bank, the reversal is a strategic move to discontinue the unorthodox monetary policy regime adopted by the former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele. That program can be referred to as a failure.
A monumental failure. A failure of tremendous proportions. It's just a waste of public funds. According to the CBN, they committed 1.1 trillion to the program. And the level of repayment is one of the worst ever, because only about 450 million was repaid back by the beneficiaries. 546 billion.
Out of
1.1 trillion, 546 billion was repaid back. There were many people who set up fake cooperatives, describing themselves as farmers simply to access the funds. Many politicians accessed Anchor Borrowers funds and used the money for election. We can imagine setting up fake cooperatives just for the purpose of accessing the money, and once they've accessed the money, they bail. That's the sort of program that Emefiele came up with. The goal of the Anchor Borrowers program was to trigger greater production of different agricultural products: rice, maize, millet, cocoa, even livestock production.
Empower politicians.
But what we have seen,
Empower farmers.
To empower the farmers, small-scale farmers, move them up, lift up the small-scale farmers and create employment in the process. But at the end of the day, what did we see? The goal of the program, which was to stimulate greater agri-production, which naturally should drive down prices, was not achieved. This program was set up on November 17, 2015. Before that program was set up, how much were we buying a bag of rice?
6,000.
Today, I mean, let's say, okay, at the peak of the Christmas celebrations, rice, depending on the type of rice that you are buying, whether it's long grain or small grain, was being sold for more than 62,000 naira per bag, depending on where you are buying from.
64, 68.
So did the program achieve any aim? Any program that you throw so much money at like that, if it cannot help you to bring down prices, then it has failed, because that is the goal. But most of the farmers claim that, because of flooding, because of insecurity, because of climate change, they gave all kinds of reasons. Bad crop, all kinds of excuses, and they refused to pay back. That was money largely gone down the drain. And the NISA this NISA too was also categorized by fraud. Even NISA as a body itself is seen by many people as a cesspool of corruption. Many farmers who genuinely needed assistance, who genuinely needed credit, it didn't come to them. It's just the typical Nigerian. There's those who do not need it that much. They are the ones who will go and benefit. You know, in those days when Obasanjo will say that he has come up with intervention funds, the people who do not deserve the intervention fund are the people who go and get the money. Obasanjo came up with intervention fund for aviation sector. The people who needed it the most. We opened our eyes and watched Chachangi Airlines, that was the market leader.
Yes.
He died.
Yes.
A man who came from nowhere was the one that benefited from intervention fund. You see, that's the sort of country that we are. And some people will sit on social media and say, Jide talks about Obasanjo too much. What is your business if I talk about him? What's your business? Is he your father? Huh?
All right, Mr. Baton, now looking at the fallout of all this, we've had programs that government, you know, they spend so much time to try and implement, and at the end of the day, we discover that it's just fraught with irregularities and corruption. This is Anchor Boras now. Don't forget about the one that former Vice President Oshibaju was going about doing that and giving people 10,000
Trader money.
Trader money. Do you know they were meant to return that money? And look at the figure that is quoting now, out of 1.1 trillion naira, the number that actually give back to the system.
Well, I've always had the belief that the problem with Nigeria is not lack of fine ideas, good brain, but bad implementation. I also share the view that the problem in Nigeria is not that there's no money in Nigeria, but there's money in wrong hands in Nigeria. Okay, we have some of the states in Southwest, they constructed kiosk and a lot of things, telling people that they have grown so much rice from the money they took from Anchor borrowers. At the end of the day, we have not seen any of the farmers that has gone. Beyond that year, 2018 or 2017, we have not seen that rice again in most of the states. And secondly, look at the NISRA, like he was talking of. If they pick any of those people who have been so fortunate in quote to preside over that place, they will find millions in their account. So that's why I said that money has always been going into wrong hands in Nigeria. Projects that are meant to benefit the people. We have been shouting about the fact that the farm settlements that are very close to the people have virtually died. These are kind of programs that can help us to activate the macro economy in terms of agric. Now, with the quantum of money that was pumped into that program, we are not supposed to buy a bag of rice for more than 10,000 naira in this country. But because money has gotten into the hands of wrong people, politicians, people who are not even industrialists, people who have no business address. So, unfortunately, the moment we keep on doing this kind of thing, the moment we continue throwing down money down the drain, and the moment that any program, except of course we change our attitude. I always tell people that people should not talk about president all the time. People should talk about local government chairman. People should talk about state governors that took money from Anchor borrowers. People should talk about NISRA, those people who are there who are giving loans. People should talk about the 250 MDAs that we have in Nigeria that are collecting money every month from the federal government and not bringing anything to the table for Nigerians. If you look at the 1.7 trillion that was spent on Anchor borrowers for agric, we are not supposed to be hungry in this country. So until we change the attitude, and that's why I want to publicly praise the president for taking the first step in actually fighting corruption. Any official that is seen to have compromised his position or his office should be made to face the law. Because if your program is fine and your implementation is poor, then it is failure. And who are those people who are going to pay for it? The Nigerians who are taxpayers are going to pay for it. Like they are buying rice for 72 naira per bag now. It is unfortunate. It is unfortunate. So that program, I think the president has not the right. It has failed already.
There's
it has failed.
A friend of mine sent a message now. He said, don't blame CBN, blame Nigerians. The truth is, if a bank gives out loans and is incapable of getting those loans repaid, are they not going to fire the board of the bank? They will go. The bank MD will go. Did it not happen at First Bank? I think in 2015 or 2016.
The one that was there.
Yes.
Most of the banks that have gone down is because
loans, they had to go. They sent him packing before our eyes. So that is the thing. Somebody will pay when you give out loans and you are unable to have those loans repaid, because the bad loans put the health of banks at great risk. You know? So the risk management is something that banks don't take lightly. If you fail to do it, you go. Why did they send Bernard Longe of First Bank back then?
In those days, yes.
There was just, I think there is even just one loan or so.
The one loan is in connection with
somebody,
ICC.
Somebody used for telco.
Telco, it's for telco. About 1.something billion.
They sacrificed him. The board sacrificed him. That's the way it is.
National Bank went down because a lot of prominent Nigerians took loan from National Bank and they refused to pay back. If you go to Western House, you will be shocked about those people who are owing money in Western House up to today, and they refuse to pay Wema Board. And they expect that place to be maintained.
Okay, moving on now.